Hey y'all, and welcome to the MrMaple Show. I'm Tim, and today I'm bringing you the top 5 Japanese maples for small gardens. Guys, if you love Japanese maples and you love gardening, make sure you're subscribed here on the MrMaple Show. We put out daily content all about Japanese maples and gardening. You're going to share this with your gardening friends. And guys, also check us out on your favorite podcast platform with the MrMaple Show there as well. You can plug us in your ears and work in your garden at the same time. Listen to some cool things about Japanese maples. Now guys, the top 5 Japanese maples for small gardens. Japanese maples are perfect for small gardens because they're small to mid-sized trees. They've got shallow non-invasive root systems. They fit in so many spaces, and there's thousands of varieties to choose from. And variety is the flavor of life. That's one of the things about Japanese maples I love the most. They're so beautiful, they give good spring interest, they give good fall interest. Japanese maples fit so well in small gardens. Coming at number 5, for top Japanese maples for small gardens, I have Viridis. This is a green weeping lace leaf, also known as Waterfall. It's got this nice cascading umbrella habit. It's got green lace leaves for it, and it just has this graceful habit in the garden. J.D. Veritrees, who wrote the book on Japanese maples, said, plant this tree up on a hill so you can accentuate the shape and look up into the branches and the structure of this lace leaf. That's an excellent way to do it. But it's also an easy tree to grow in a container. And Japanese maples do phenomenal in containers, and Viridis is no exception. It's beautiful, it's got that gorgeous cascading habit, and you can extend your garden to many other places around your yard. This is such a beautiful green lace leaf. It gives you that summery feel throughout the spring, the summer, and when the fall hits, you get some really nice shades of yellows infused with oranges. Together with that dissectum lace leaf, you get a soft feel that's really beautiful in the landscape, and a green tree for what people think of when they think of a Japanese maple. Now I love Viridis because you can actually put that tree up against a dark background where a red lace leaf may get lost. That green Viridis is going to add a lot of contrast and be extremely beautiful in your garden. I mean, it just really gives great contrast against some dark blacks, some browns, where some of those deep maroons might get lost. So Viridis coming at number 5, that's my number 5 pick. My number 4 pick for top Japanese maples for small gardens is Orangeola. This is a newer selection introduced in the 1980s by Happy Hollow's Nursery, and it has this heavily cascading habit, but it gives you a multitude of red colors. You get some bright orange reds in the early spring on the new growth, maturing to maroons, maturing to green reds, and then maturing to greens behind that, and then orange red new growth keeps coming across it. People often say you get 20, 23 different shades of red with Orangeola with all the new growth, and the color changes. And color change is what people love about Japanese maples. You have changes between the spring, summer, and the fall, and Orangeola is constantly changing. In the fall, Orangeola goes to a bright orange red. This is a tree that will end up getting about 4 feet in height by about 5 to 6 foot in width with a heavily cascading habit. That Viridis I talked about earlier has a nice arching cascading habit. Orangeola is straight pendulous, so you often want to stake this tree up to really have this tree have a really nice cascading form. It is a beautiful, beautiful selection that is becoming one of the most popular trees in the nursery trade today. For me, Orangeola, it's easy to grow, it's very heat tolerant, it grows in so many places in the garden, and it's so easy to use because you know what it's going to do. It's going to have that heavily cascading habit, and it has those beautiful lace leaf dissectum leaves that we're talking about with Viridis as well. It adds that graceful feel to the garden, adds some great colors in the spring, the summer, and the fall. My favorite time with Orangeola is possibly midsummer, when you have those orange-red new growths coming across on top of those green-red colors. It is really showy and dynamic. And Orangeola has often become one of the trees when people have one in their garden and say they move to a new location. So maybe they have got 10 different varieties of Japanese maples and move to a new location. The first tree they replace is Orangeola because it's quickly one of their favorite selections. This is a tree that you're going to grow to love. And guys, coming at number 4, Orangeola. My number 3 pick for top Japanese maples for small gardens is Sango Kaku. This is the coral bark Japanese maple. It is a green upright that when the leaves drop after the fall color, you have coral bark that gives you red winter interest. And that just gives you those 4 seasons where you've got something lively in the spring, you've got something during the summer, you've got something during the fall, some yellow fall color, heavily underrated for its fall color, and then that bark that just gives great color contrast and something lively in that winter garden. When you have that coral bark out there, it just brightens up that winter garden. Gives you an interest when many other deciduous trees have dropped their leaves completely. Now, Sango Kaku has a typical green palmatum leaf, very small, almost like what you'd find on Japanese maples growing in the wild in Japan. But that bark just makes this tree exceptional and beautiful. Now, we often do top lists here on the MrMaple Show, and one of our things is best fall color. And Sango Kaku ranks really high on that list because it gives a consistent and clear yellow fall color that can really add a lot to the landscape. We recently did a walkthrough at Gibbs Gardens. You should go check that out. And you can see Sango Kaku in yellow fall color just rocking it out. I mean, it's just amazing. It's one of the most electric yellow fall colors of any of the Japanese maples, and it provides good color contrast in the fall with many of the other selections because of that. Because many of the other selections are going to be going to oranges and reds. And Sango Kaku going to that clear yellow with that nice upright form. It's extremely beautiful. Sango Kaku will typically reach about 12 feet in height in 10 years, making it a great mid-sized tree for the landscape and garden. It is extremely beautiful, easy to use. Now, one great tip for when you're growing Sango Kaku, the coral bark Japanese maple, is to give it a backdrop. If you plant this tree somewhere, maybe out in the open, you're not going to get the same effect of the coral bark as if you give it a backdrop. Now, a backdrop could simply be you're planting it near a house where you have a dark colored background that the bark can really pop off of. Another easy way to give a coral bark Japanese maple, the Sango Kaku, that dynamic contrast is to really plant an evergreen behind it. That evergreen, as it goes larger, will give you some of that nice green color in the background for that red coral bark to pop off during the winter time. Y'all, the coral bark Japanese maple's beautiful, giving you a season of interest year round. It is an amazing tree for small gardens. Coming over at number 2 for my top Japanese maples for small gardens, it's a classic, but it's a good one. It's Acer palmatum Bloodgood. This is a red Japanese maple that many people have in their landscape and garden. It is so beautiful and easy to use. It's your traditional red upright with red leaves. Now, there are many different forms of Bloodgood sold in the nursery trade today. The original Bloodgood is extremely beautiful and has phenomenal fall color, typically reaching about 10 to 12 feet in height in 10 years, making a good mid-sized tree in the landscape. This is a tree that does great as a focal point planting in the garden and can really give you that larger red leaf on an upright tree and some good maroon color in the spring and the summer and some exceptional bright orange red to red fall color. Bloodgood was named by Bloodgood Nurseries. It's the guy's last name, Bloodgood, who found and introduced this selection. And it has become a classic in the nursery trade. It's easy to grow, it's extremely beautiful, and it's probably one of the most popular trees in the world, and one of the most popular trees in America for sure, because you find this tree in the landscape so frequently. Now, a true Bloodgood is a grafted specimen. Seedling from it may show some variability and shouldn't be called Bloodgood. I want to make sure that's noted, because whenever you buy a Japanese maple Bloodgood from MrMaple.com, you get a true grafted Bloodgood. And it is a beautiful tree in the garden. It can handle some sun, it can handle some cold. Y'all, it is an exceptional and easy tree to grow. And many collectors think, oh, it's a Bloodgood. Y'all, it's one of the most beautiful trees, and that's the reason it's so popular. You got that red color that just rocks it out in the spring, in the summer. It may green up a little bit during the summer, late summer, before it really goes to vibrant red colors in the fall. For a red upright Japanese maple, Bloodgood is a classic, and it's one of the most popular for the reason that it's simply beautiful and easy to grow. Makes a perfect specimen for that focal point planting or to give good color contrast in a green landscape. It is easy to use and great for small gardens. Coming in at number 1 for one of those beautiful and easy to grow trees for the garden, for the small garden, and you've got that small space you're looking for, is Crimson Queen. Crimson Queen is a lace leaf red Japanese maple that has that dissectum and cascading habit. It is extremely beautiful. One of the reasons I like Crimson Queen is it has a very horizontal habit and it stays shorter than many of the other selections like Tamukiyama, Anabashidari, and Garnet. And it has a lot of horizontal weeping habit to it, so it stays low and makes a really nice cascading habit that doesn't get a lot of height, so it doesn't obstruct a lot of views. It's a little bit more picked up red in the early spring. You can go to a green red during the summer if planted in full sun, but it does hold its red, more picked up red color better in the shade than and light shaded situation than many of the other red Japanese maples that are weeping. It is extremely beautiful, easy to grow, and in the fall, it turns to a bright crimson where it gets its name of Crimson Queen because it is the queen of fall with that crimson color. Crimson Queen is easy to grow, 3 feet in height by about 6 to 7 foot in width in 10 years, making it an easy tree for the small gardens. Another great container plant. If you're growing a tree in a container, always make sure you give good drainage. And that's true with trees in the ground as well. Crimson Queen is a beautiful, exceptionally beautiful tree that makes a great tree right underneath that window. You're always looking for something to go underneath that window that's not going to obstruct your view. The Crimson Queen will give you that bright red color. It's often used as a foundational planting or a specimen planting where it's that focal point in the garden and landscape. Crimson Queen is one of the most popular trees in the nursery trade today, and I think it's because it has that beautiful name that it describes exactly what it does. Fall color, crimson fall color, easy to grow, beautiful, nice cascading weeping habit. It's an amazing tree for that small garden. And it was actually a selection that was introduced by our friends the Viridis. The Viridis have introduced many amazing Japanese maples and conifers. Y'all, Crimson Queen, that's my #1 pick for small gardens. Hope you enjoyed today's video on my top 5 Japanese maples for small gardens. There's some classics in there, but there's some good ones too. If you don't have some of these, you can check them out on MrMaple.com, and we appreciate y'all's support. Y'all take care, God bless, and have a great day.